Episode number 13. Kay thought he had stepped into a meeting. A medium-sized, two-windowed room was filled with the most diverse crowd of people. No one paid attention to the person who had just entered. Close under its ceiling it was surrounded by a gallery, which was also full occupied, and where the people could only stand bent down with their heads and their backs touching the ceiling. Kay, who found there too stuffy, stepped out again, and said to the young woman, who had probably misunderstood what he had said, "I asked for a joiner, someone by the name of Franz." "Yes," said the woman. "Please go on in." Kay would probably not have followed her, if the woman had not gone up to him, taken hold of the door handle, and said, "I'll have to close the door after you, no one else will be allowed in." "Very sensible," said Kay, "but it's too full already." But then he went back in anyway. He passed through between two men, who were talking beside the door. One of them held both hands far out in front of himself, making the movements of counting out money. The other looked him closely in the eyes, and someone took him by the hand. It was a small, red-faced youth. come in," he said. Kay let himself be led by him, and it turned out that there was surprisingly a densely packed crowd of people moving to and fro, a narrow passage, which may have been the division between two factions. This idea was reinforced by the fact that in the first few rows to the left and the right of him there was hardly a face looking in his direction. He saw nothing but the backs of people directing their speech and their movements only towards members of their own side. Most of them were dressed in black, in old, long, formal frock coats that hung down loosely around them. These clothes were the only thing that puzzled Kay, as he would otherwise have taken the whole assembly for a local political meeting. At the other end of the hall, where Kay had been led, there was a little table set at an angle on a very low podium, which was as overcrowded as everywhere else, and behind the table, near the edge of the podium, sat a small, fat, wheezing man, who was talking with someone behind him. This second man was standing with his legs crossed, and his elbows on the backrest of the chair, provoking much laughter. From time to time he threw his arm in there as if doing a caricature of someone. The youth, who was leading Kay, had some difficulty in reporting to the man. He had already tried twice to tell him something, standing on tiptoe, but without getting the man's attention as he sat there above him. It was only when one of the people up on the podium drew his attention to the youth that the man turned to him, and leant down to hear what it was he quietly said. Then he pulled out his watch, and quickly looked over at Kay. "You should have been here 1 hour and 5 minutes ago," he said. Kay was going to give him a reply, but had no time to do so, as hardly had the man spoken than a general muttering arose all over the right-hand side of the hall. "You should have been here 1 hour and 5 minutes ago," the man now repeated, raising his voice this time, and quickly looked round the hall beneath him. The muttering also became immediately louder and, as the man said nothing more, died away only gradually. Now the hall was much quieter than when Kay had entered. Only the people up in the gallery had not stopped passing remarks. As far as could be distinguished, up in the half-darkness, dust and haze, they seemed to be less well-dressed than those below. Many of them had brought pillows that they had put between their heads and the ceiling so that they would not hurt themselves pressed against it.